Blaine Bishop. Welcome to Sports Management Podcast.
What's going on, Marcus, man? Thanks for having me on, man. This is pretty cool talking to someone in Sweden, man. This is going to be special for me, and I'll never forget it.
I'm happy to hear it, and I hope I make a good impression representing the Swedish community here. So you are a former NFL player, played 10 seasons in the NFL, were drafted in 1993, which is my birth year, not to call you old or anything, but that's where we
Uh,
are. So can you take us back to, to that day, to draft day, and how was that like?
oh man, well, for me, going to Ball State University, it's not a football power, so playing in the Mid American Conference, the likelihood of getting drafted, you didn't know if you would get drafted. They were saying that I was going to get drafted in the mid rounds, and I went to the Senior Bowl, to the combine, and so obviously I was getting scouted and had a shot, and that's kind of how I looked at it. I was hoping I got drafted, fourth or fifth round, and that kind of didn't happen, and ended up going in the last round, 214th pick. So I was super excited, but yet at the same time, I was a little disappointed, that, some guys went ahead of me and that I thought I was probably just as good as. So you just never know. And then, that kind of, I already had a chip on my shoulder anyway. So that kind of just took it over the top. And then, getting an opportunity to play for then at that time, the Houston Oilers, being drafted by them at the time. Was really, really cool coming from where I came from at Ball State and Cathedral High School, and then just the whole whirlwind of just trying to stay focused and really seize the moment and opportunity that you're going to get, because it was a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah. So you mentioned you had a chip on your shoulder, and can you tell us
Yes.
why did you have that? And like, did it come from your background growing up, or why was that chip on your shoulder there?
I think the chip on the shoulder because I wasn't highly recruited. I wasn't a Division I prospect. Everywhere I went, saying I was too small. So I went to a Catholic high school and played running back and defensive back. So I played both ways. My heart and passion was always running back. I'm glad I didn't stick there. And when I got to Cathedral, when I got to Ball State, they said I could be, competing to start at cornerback, or I could be third string running back. So I said, well, I'm not third string at anything. So, so I'm gonna compete to start there at cornerback. But I was real curious on who I was going to be competing with, because I got to sit out a year in redshirt after I transferred from a Division II school where I made Division II All American as a freshman. And that really opened my eyes that I had an opportunity, because some scouts saw me play there, NFL scouts, and they thought I had an opportunity to play in the National Football League literally 4 months after I wasn't a Division I recruit. So it was really unique, and I am very, very thankful of that. But the chip on my shoulder is just that people always doubted me, and I don't know why. I just whatever level I was from, growing up in the projects, to my mom finally getting a really good job working for the government as a computer programmer, moving out and then going to a private school, and them never really kind of embracing that I was the guy until my senior year was unique, and they kind of thought I was too small as well, and so they just kind of continued on, and that just drove me to continue to work hard. I started doing things I had never done, running hills and power clean and all these things, and I was just driven and focused at the same time. It was a boyhood dream. I didn't know if I would ever have that opportunity. So at every level that I got to, from Division II to Ball State, Division I, and then the league, I kept elevating my game, and I didn't know if I could, because sometimes you get to a level, then you halt and say this is it. Some leave high school, get to college, say I think this is it. These guys are too good. And so the pros, once I got the opportunity, I felt like this was going to be it, and it could be, my last time playing football in training camp there as a rookie, and I continue to elevate my game, and surprising to me even, just because of the work ethic that I put in, not only physically but mentally. And I think that was my edge, and my natural instincts as an athlete really played a big part with all the film study that I did as a player in the NFL.
Mm. Yeah, so let's talk about that, the mental and the physical aspects? Because you said everyone said that you didn't have the size, you were too small to play in the NFL. But what were like, your internal beliefs, your mental capabilities, and like what were the other things that made you go there anyway?
Well, I think my mom was really a pivotal person, let alone my family. But she just had me in all these different leadership programs, and went to Culver Military Academy in the summer times, and it kind of just made me very disciplined and focused and belief in myself. She helped build that, and it just wasn't going to be broken. And I wasn't a big talker or anything like that. After performing, people are like, yeah, you're good, but you're not that good. I'm like, oh, okay, well, whatever. And I just, so I just wanted to continue to, you know, move forward and see how far I could take it. Naturally the goal was always to make the National Football League, and but that's a dream. That's like every time I had a birthday, I would blow out the candle and say, I hope I make it to the NFL. I did every time. So it was definitely a focus. Let alone I was a real good student, academics. My mom pushed, always have your B plan because, I don't think she even believed that I would make it either. And I don't think that was anybody's vision, let alone all my family who would come support me from little leagues at 6 years old when I first started all the way to the end. And I played multiple sports and chess team, swim team, karate team. My mom had me in everything, and really, I just excelled at everything. It was really weird, and then lastly, I had a support from Ralph Dow, who's no longer with us at the Boys and Girls Club, who was a professor also, and he said I was special. That you're gonna do some things. It was different, and I believed it. And he didn't have to say it, but he believed it, and so that just was affirmation. After hearing your mother say it, that's a little different than someone outside who's not with you on a daily basis. And so that really kind of kept growing my confidence, let alone getting invited to the different the combine and the Senior Bowl and all these different events. So I kept my confidence kept growing, and I knew where I stood. I knew I wasn't a first round pick. Those guys were phenomenal athletes, and it wasn't like I wasn't a really good athlete, but those guys were off the charts. And there was even times though I thought I could compete with them at any level just because of how they went about their business as an athlete. But I wouldn't want to be matched up one on one all the time. That's for sure. So I just think it was the grit and grind and how I got to, that point to get drafted really built a mental toughness that wasn't going to be broken. And I have to say, Marcus, man, it almost got broken once I got into the league. I really felt like I hit the pinnacle of like, oh, this may be it. These guys are really good, and the physicality of the game was different, especially when I moved from corner, nickel, then to safety through some injuries, all in a 3-month window of training camp and mini camps, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. This is a lot different than I thought, and my mom kind of unveiled what do you have to lose? So who cares? If not, you just got to come back and stay at home and take that State Farm job that you got offered. That was it. So I was always having a B plan. So there was never all in. And, I have to say this, the people around me, not only my family, my mother, but Ralph, I mean, the people around me, football wasn't who I was. It was just something that I did. And they would say that all the time. I think they were just setting me up for always focusing on, your plan B as well as, moving forward. But things don't work out. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's actually the beginning. And that your failures can be part of growth. And throughout all the times that I felt failures that put that chip on my shoulder, I used it. And it was very valuable. And, sometimes, guys have failure or ladies and then they just decide to quit. I never did. I just picked myself back up and said, well, let's do that again. Let's see if you can do that to me again. So it was really unique. I think if I didn't have those people around me, and I don't know if that would have been possible, let alone, I was strong in my faith with my mother and everything else. So, that was really big as well.
Yeah, of course, it's nice to have that support system, but also that grit is really showing there, right? And
Yeah.
I was talking to Adam Brenneman, also an American football player, as we call it. He said the same thing that football is not who I am, is what I do, and I think maybe that's a healthy mindset to approach things.
Yeah, and it's interesting now, with all the social media, I didn't have to deal with the social media. You can kind of get caught up in that, and then when that's gone, you feel like you have failed, and that's not really the case, and that's not, real in my eyes. And it means you believe that you just wanted to have fame and all those things, where that was never part of the picture for me. I just wanted to live a good life and take care of my family, and then move on to the next step. So maybe not going to a big school maybe helped me because I looked at, sports in a manner that, the possibilities of someone coming from Ball State, everybody knows Ball State for David Letterman in the communications building. He was a graduate there. And that's where I went. And I wanted to be a broadcaster. So, I am now getting to do two things that I've always dreamed of doing. And and to be honest, I felt like, the man upstairs really had a vision for me because I won these awards when I was a youth and even in high school for broadcasting and sitting up at CLD, Center for Leadership Development Group, or the Boys and Girls Youth of the Year. And I'm sitting up there with Brian Gumble. And that's when I said, I want to be a broadcaster. He was the keynote speaker, and I'm sitting right next to him. And we had dialogue and conversations, and he probably doesn't even know the impact that he had, but I really wanted to be a broadcaster. So I would practice at home watching TV and, act like I was broadcasting the game. Being a only child and a single parent, it was really unique in our relationship and kind of how I evolved along the way.
Yeah, I understand that. So before we jump into your broadcasting career, just finish with the NFL part of your career journey. So
Uh-huh.
now you're drafted, you are at the Houston Oilers. You said you felt like an underdog. You still
Yes.
managed to play 10 season and you're a four-time Pro Bowler. So you managed a lot. So how were, after you got in there, how was the next 10 years?
Oh man, it was well, there's always, as an athlete, you must have some luck to get your opportunity, especially a guy that was sitting in my shoes. So there was a lot of injuries, I said. So I got an opportunity. They moved me to safety after two or three guys, I think, tore Achilles. One guy tore his ACL. And these guys were proven players in the National Football League. So I ended up being a backup at the safety position, and I was, I just studied the game a lot and got, I went deep into my playbook because that was really the only thing that could hold me back in my mind, is that I wanted to be able to play freely without thinking, because a lot of guys, that's how they slow down, is because they have to think about and process the information that was given to them. And that wasn't the way I was going to play. So I made sure I hit the playbook every night. I probably stayed up till 11 o'clock at night every night after the meetings, and made sure of that. And then, the guy in front of me got injured, and he was actually injured. He didn't practice for a while, but he played in the game. So that really helped me because I was practicing with the ones, the first string guys. But I was never starting it because this guy had a knee issue. And then finally on Christmas Day in my rookie season, I get to start against the San Francisco 49ers on national TV. And that was really cool. And I got pumped up about it, playing against, Steve Young and Jerry Rice and crew. They had a great team. And I performed well in that first start. And that kind of, the rest was history after that. But there was a point in time, you just never know, as time goes on, if they were going to bring that guy back. They end up, trading him or releasing him. And then I kind of ran with it from there. But yeah, there is luck involved with opportunity at times. I call it luck. Maybe it's a little more than that, but I wouldn't say that I actually, beat the guy out. It was fortunate that, he was a Pro Bowl player the year before, that he was injured, and I was watch this, I was a cheaper option and than him, and so that hence gave me the opportunity.
Yeah, but I believe in that you create your own luck to an extent, right? So in your case, that
Yes,
you were like, I don't know if you say that you were lucky that someone got injured, but you got an opportunity and you were ready to take it.
I was ready.
If you weren't ready, then that luck wouldn't help you.
Yeah, yeah, and that kind of that would that I think I had fear of that I wouldn't be ready, and I wanted to make sure I was ready because I saw other guys when they got their opportunity, they mentally checked out because they hadn't started and they were just a backup. They on special teams, and a lot of guys aren't used to that, and just being a special team guy. And I was focused as every week as though I was the starter, and I was ready. And when I got out there, man, it was over. I was like, I'm not giving up this spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you walk us through the Titans Super Bowl loss? How that was
Yeah.
like and how you bounced back the year after?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the Houston Oilers. Then 3 or 4 years in my career, probably 4 years in my career, we moved the team, or they moved the team. The owner, K.S. Bud Adams, who's no longer with us, and his daughter runs the organization now, Amy Adams Shrunk, and they moved the team to Nashville, Tennessee. So I was part of that transition. So I was with the same organization for literally 9 years, and then became the Tennessee Titans. We were the Tennessee Oilers initially for 2 years until they built the stadium and got new jerseys and everything. Then became the Tennessee Titans. And so once we got into that stadium and we felt like we were home and we had the fan support like we needed, we then went on a run there with the late great Air McNair at quarterback and Eddie George and the freak on defense, as well as myself and a whole bunch of other guys, Samari Rowe, Eddie Rodman. We had a lot of guys that had been in the league, and we were middle of the road team, always 8-8 or so, 9-7, and then finally we turned the corner and went on a run there with Coach Fisher leading the way, and it was really, really cool. And I don't think we thought we were going to be that good that season going into it, but as the season evolved, we knew we were really good, and we were a dominant defense too as well, and that we could beat anybody. And once that happened, with the mixture of youth and the veteran players, it was something to behold. It was really cool.
Yeah. And yeah, as we said, like you had that loss with the Titans at the Super Bowl, and then bouncing
Yes.
back. And then, so first of all, how was that feeling, and then to bounce back after?
Well, we went on a run in the Super Bowl in the playoffs. Let me talk about that. And when we got to the playoffs, we beat Peyton Manning and Edrin James and Marvin Harrison Jr., Reggie Wayne. I mean, they had guys all over the place. Once we beat them, and then we came home to play the Buffalo Bills, and they had the Music City Miracle. And when something like that happens, when they were up and it was only like so many seconds left, I forget, it was maybe 40 seconds or so, they kicked off to us. They were leading, and I was up there thinking about where I was going for vacation. Now the season's over, to be honest. And we had the Music City Miracle, which was, they kicked it to one guy, he threw it to another guy, and guy ran down the sidelines and scored. And I thought then that we were a team of destiny. And we ended up going to the Super Bowl, playing a team that we had played earlier in the season. The Rams, it was the greatest show on turf, but we played them at home on grass and we beat them. And so when we got to Super Bowl, we felt like we had an opportunity to beat them again, but we were missing some key components there on defense. About three guys were out, so we came with a different game plan, and it was kind of bend don't break, and they were moving the ball a lot, but they couldn't score touchdowns, and kind of worked in our hand. And we felt like once we got to, get our physicality on them and slow this game down with running the football, let them sit on the sideline. The greatest show on turf, can't score on the sideline, and we just come up a yard short to tie it up. But it was fantastic. It was a boyhood dream, and really, our whole team wasn't just playing for ourselves individually or the organization. We were playing for Bruce Matthews, who had played. I called him the living legend, offensive lineman who played every position on the line and played 19, 20 years or so. And that was his first Super Bowl and his only Super Bowl. So we were really trying to get it for him, and we just came up short. And I really thought we had a great shot at getting back there the next year, and we ended up getting beat by the vaunted Ravens at the time, and we were probably the two best teams in the whole NFL. With even though we're both in the AFC, and they got us on that day. With making big plays all over the place, especially on special teams.
Yeah. So coming from that disappointment, and then somehow you came out of that, it made you better and ultimately becoming an all-pro safety in 2000. So I think that talks a lot about the grit again, like we talked about, going through stuff, but then, dig deep, work hard, and then come out better in the end.
Yeah, after that season we lost in the Super Bowl, I really wanted to. I start training a little different in that I wanted to start doing track workout because I felt like, oh man, if we play the Rams again, I got to be able to do everything elite, and that meant covering some guys, whether it was Isaac Bruce or Torrey Holt or Marshall Falk, who are all Hall of Fame worthy type players, and Kurt Warner. So I came back. With a mission that there was nothing that I wasn't going to be able to do and be comfortable and covering those elite guys if need be. And so I came back with a mission that we're going to get to the Super Bowl and we're going to win it this time. And I think that was the whole goal of the entire team. And we didn't get it. So you just never know when that opportunity will present itself in sports. You can have the best team on paper, but man, that doesn't mean anything once you get on that football field or any floor field that you're playing. So yeah, I did. I came back and I was the best version of Blaine Bishop, and that's all my goal was. You're talking about the 4 Pro Bowls and a couple of All Pros. That was never a goal of mine. I actually cried the first time I made it to the Pro Bowl. I couldn't believe it. The coaches announced it, and all the guys jumped on me, and because all I wanted to do was win and get a Super Bowl because not too many people could say they've done that. But I wanted to, everybody was given God-given gifts and talents, and I wanted to give the most and get the most out of my body that I could absolutely do, and I felt like I did. I was a real good athlete, but I could play with the best of them because of my acumen as well as the work that I would put in there, film study and everything else. So I felt like if that was worthy of the Pro Bowl, great. If it wasn't, that's great too. That's no problem. So it was great to get those awards. I'm not taking that back, but I just that was not my goal. I wanted to be the best version of Blaine Bishop. When I turn on the tape, I say I gave it all I got. I wanted to play like every play was the last play in my life. That's how I played.
Mm. That must be a good feeling to know that you left it all on the field.
All on the field. Yeah. And soon as that I felt, I mean, I'm moving forward, but as soon as I felt like that I wasn't capable of living up to that, like I expect more, it was time to go. And I
Mm.
wasn't going to be playing. I could have played probably 2 or 3 more years after that. It just, my body started breaking down and I couldn't give all I needed, even just to train the way I wanted to. Uh, yeah, that was my mindset at that time for sure.
Yeah. So how was the internal discussion with yourself when you decided to retire? You said now, was it that you couldn't give it all anymore, or was it because, it's a tough sport, right? Is it
Yeah.
injuries? Why?
Well, yeah, it was that. It was more that. That's where because it was affecting my training, and so that's when I say, oh, I couldn't give them all. I couldn't do everything I needed in the off season, and once I had to get one more surgery, I tore my groin off the bone, and I had never torn a muscle my entire career. I go, man, this is probably it, and I slowly had started doing sports, broadcasting and radio 2 or 3 years before that. So I was already starting that kind of transition. That's what I wanted to do. I felt like it kept me connected to sports, and that's what eventually happened. Unbeknown to me, I wanted to be a broadcaster, but it didn't happen. So I ended up doing radio. So that was fun too. So my whole objective was to educate people on what I thought I saw out there as a former athlete, but also to have fun and enjoy it at the same time. So it was really cool, just like I was still playing.
Mm. So do you think it was easier to come to that decision to retire from football when you had the broadcasting to continue doing?
Yeah, I really do. And actually, a couple teams that called me after I started there doing broadcast, and I just said, nah, quarterback can kind of start up and start back, but not a defensive back or a skill guy to me. You had to be all in and training, and that just wasn't going to happen. So yeah, I thought the transition was easier for me, but at the same time, it was easy for me and let me let it go because it wasn't who I was. It's just something that I did. And there were other goals and things that I wanted to accomplish as an athlete. And I didn't want to I had this issue with, I didn't just want to be viewed as an athlete. It was really weird. Because I was more than that. That was to pursue something that I wasn't fully knowledgeable in, and to kind of start from scratch and been a little novice in the industry. That was unique and made me excited again. So that's kind of where I want to pursue. And I did the same thing there. How good can I get, and how much can I learn from all these people who are in the industry that are really, really good? So I would take different things from different guys and learn the whole industry. And I put in the hard work, just like I was a hard worker as an athlete. Those same traits work in all industries, and it worked for me. So I put in the work, and then eventually you'll have success. And I really believe in that. And maybe not as soon as you want, but eventually it will happen.
Mm. Do you think there are transferable skills that you can take from being an NFL player that you can use now in your broadcasting career?
Well, that's interesting. I would just say the traits are the hard work. I mean, you have to be well spoken. I've been a keynote speaker. I was I spoke in my university as the commencement speaker. I mean, so I've been speaking for a long time. Like my resume growing up, all the way to that point, I was a leader at every level that I played at, as far as captain in all sports. So I was always a vocal leader. And we were talking about, we're playing with McNair and Eddie George, who were all really good leaders, but I was the one that was the guy sitting up here speaking in front of the team. And so, and they definitely would have some say so in that. But so I was very comfortable in that realm. So you got to have traits that and understand who you are and what are your strengths, and you try to continue to elevate those. So if I wasn't a good speaker and been speaking and been very comfortable, I don't know if I even would have pursued that even years ago. So that was just something. Memory, it was a goal to be a broadcaster even as a youth. So I was very comfortable in front of TV, or in front of the team, or even in front of thousands of people, even as the commencement speaker at Ball State.
Yeah. And talking about identity, you said you didn't want to be just an athlete, but you are an ex-athlete, you are a broadcaster, you are a coach,
Yeah.
a lot of names you can give. But how would you like to, identify, or does that matter?
Um, I don't think it really matters, but I would want people to think of me as an all around great human being. I think, and sometimes just, being honest, it's not always good, as you would know, Marcus. To a fault, I think that's what I really want to be, is just a really good human being that's honest and pursued all things that he wanted and he tried to accomplish. Naturally, you have some failures along the way, and that it is possible, but you must believe. You must believe, and you can't be detoured by things that happen to you along that journey, and believe in yourself. And that's something I took for granted. But I see that was a trait that was embedded in me as a youth, and it really carried me really to this point in my life. And I don't even know if I would be where I'm at today if I didn't have that kind of confidence instilled in me.
Hmm. So now are a broadcaster, as we said, you're a co-host. So talk a little bit about your, broadcasting work nowadays.
Yeah, I'm just on 104.5 The Zone, doing a 2-hour show with partner Zach, and we just talk about Titans and all Tennessee, University of Tennessee sports. So it's right up my alley. Still get to be a part of the game by talking about sports, and then doesn't consume my life, and also can do other things involved. As you saw, I was coaching and things of that nature. So like to have my free time, because guess what, Marcus? All we have is our time. That's all I got left. It's my time. So it's time is very valuable to me. So want to give back to what was given to me. I had some people that invested a lot in me as a youth with, with nothing to pay back, and that's kind of how I want to be viewed as well. So yeah, the knowledge that I've been instilled, I want to pass it along.
I love that. So you're doing that through the broadcasting and also through the coaching.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I say, the truth teller. I mean, sometimes you hear what, coaches say after a game. I'm like, man, that's exactly what happened there. So, sometimes that'll get you in trouble, right? So, and I just make sure you do it in a respectful way. But yes, that's exactly who I want to be there, Marcus.
Yeah. So you said that you value your time very highly. Going forward, what do you want to spend your time on to for you to feel like it's means something?
Well, naturally, you got some things that you always wanted to do on a bucket list and things of that nature. Travel a little bit, make sure you're always with the family. I'm a, family oriented guy. And so all those things. But you just never know what be next around the corner. Who knows? Maybe I'll write a book when I'm on vacation.
Yeah,
Or maybe travel the world a little bit now here. So we only got so much time. So yeah, I'm gonna try to do some things that I really never imagined that I would think about doing, and that's probably the direction I'm going now.
interesting. So I know you have spoken about fatherhood and grounding. So how do you, balance the family work balance?
Well, actually, that happened. Actually, I got married right when we moved here to Tennessee, and had to figure that out along the way, the work-life balance, because I was all in. I told you I was a film junkie. I love watching film. I would watch it all day, and I somewhat had a photographic memory. I could remember plays, and as soon as I would line up against a team, I knew they were going to run like three plays that, pick one of them. So my wife would always be like, dang, you came home, you just got back from practice. We eat dinner, we have conversation for like an hour, and then you're back watching film. so, so I had to, kind of learn how to balance that out. And then once we had a kid, one kid, and so you want to make sure, especially being growing up in a single parent home, for me that was very valuable in that I want to be present in my son's life, and that's what got me balanced really, and it really helped me out to even be more successful. So yeah, those things are all growth as a human being, and you have to continue to evolve and grow. Uh, and as you continue to get older, it doesn't matter. You can't just stay in your ways. Things are changing all the time around this world, so you better continue to evolve. And it's just like now, like the modern athlete is much more athletic and bigger and stronger than I was. But I don't know how much more knowledge they have of the game because they're so fast, they're so exceptional athletically. I think they're missing the little nuances of the game that can really make you super successful. So that's kind of interesting now. A little bit of a goal of mine to educate people on that a little bit too as well.
Yeah, for sure. And talking about evolution, you're in the media business now, broadcasting. That's changing a lot as well, from radio to broadcast to podcast to TV to all these different, all the social media live streams. How are you keeping up with the development in the media space?
Yeah, that was there. That's a tough because there's so many different things. Everybody is media now, and that's what you have to embrace. Whether their opinion is right or wrong. I mean, they have a platform, which I loved it. Now everybody can be an entrepreneur and do your own thing and have your own podcast and and Twitter and social media. I just would be if I was playing today, I probably wouldn't even look at social media because fans are on there as well who have opinions and justified or not. It can drive you insane. That's what I call fanatical fans. So just got to put it all in perspective. But it is changing the view and radio even. Where streaming is becoming a big thing, and that's what we all do. So I'm live on TV pretty much every day, just on radio. So who would imagine that that was going to happen when I first started, and then see where we're at today. So it's been a fun little ride, but I'm sure it's going to continue to evolve and change as time goes on for all those super smart people. I'm not in that realm, but you try to take advantage of it as much as possible and use it. But I was always a guy. I could care less if somebody knew who I was or what I did, or those I probably, if I was a player today, I probably wouldn't use social media, but for all positive things of what I'm doing in the community and things of that nature, I don't think I would be using it like some of the guys do, because you can get attached to that, and that could be detrimental to your mental health and growth just as an individual.
Yeah, definitely. I think the issue with that is that you can make so much money from social media that
Yes, you
it's a
can.
second income. So some people do it because of that.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't even know which one. I think what like IG and TikTok are the ones that pay or whatever. So yeah, there's some advantages to it, for sure.
Yeah. Um, what are some advice you have for young people who want to pursue a career in the sports industry?
Sport industry or as an athlete? You're talking about in the broadcasting industry?
Yeah, we can
Just
do that.
sports
Since
industry.
it's a business podcast, let's focus on the media aspect for now.
Um, Well, I would say just know when you start off early, you're not going to make a lot of money because you got to pay your dues. It's just you want the opportunity to get in. I think so. Got to make sure you understand that part and how patient can you be to get to the point where you need to be, where you can suffice it and make money there. So it's evolving and changing. I would tell people try to pursue as much as possible being an entrepreneur. I really would. And you could call it a side hustle while you maybe have your 9 to 5 or whatever else you're doing. But I would say I would definitely then eventually it would continue to grow and you put the time in something that you're passionate about, whatever that is. I think it eventually you'll learn all you need to learn and you probably have some failures along the way. And then it will definitely prosper. I would always say push for something that you enjoy, that you're passionate about. And I think that's what this world is all about now, with all the social media.
Yeah, I think so too. Then at least you're doing something that means something to yourself, right? Even, it's easier to have that grit and push if there's something that you care about.
Yeah, that's always the case, and I'm a living person that could say I was passionate about football. I had no idea that I have a chance to play in the National Football League. It had just enough ability and work ethic and discipline to get it done, and I made it. So just take that same, those traits, put it into something else. Uh, you will be successful. And I always thought that, my mom always would say this. Your mind can take you further than anything else, and I believe that, and that's the only way it can be done, and that is true for any industry that you get into.
That's fantastic advice. I like to end on a networking question. So, who from your network do you think would be a good guest on this podcast?
But that's easy. Eddie George.
Yeah.
Eddie George. He's now the head coach of Bowling Green in Ohio. He was a captain, fantabulous player, Heisman winner. Is up for the finalists for, I think, the Hall of Fame now as well.
Well, that's a great suggestion. Blaine Bishop, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Sports Management Podcast.
Appreciate it, Marcus.